Hi friends, welcome to week 3 of Processing Grief program. Today we're going to talk about very specifically what are the feelings that you may be feeling when you are grieving. First, we've already said that grief is normal and natural, but we really want to say grief is emotional.
But I think also you and I use feelings and emotions. We interchange
Yes.
them so that our friends need to understand if we're saying feelings or we're saying emotions,
They're the same. Feelings equal emotions.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's okay to feel them. Whatever it is also is okay. There's no clear book on first you're going to feel this and then you're going to feel this. It doesn't happen like that. Also, grief is not intellectual. It does not happen in your brain.
Right.
It happens in your heart. Everything you feel should be in your heart. Don't talk yourself out of it. Don't say, well, I shouldn't feel that way because it was only my nephew who passed away. It wasn't my son. No, you are allowed to be sad no matter what the situation is, or angry, or whatever you're feeling. Also, your brain and your heart are going to be in conflict. They're going to be in a tug of war.
Yes.
You're going to feel like you're being pulled in two different directions based on how you've been raised and then what you're actually experiencing.
100%. It's like it feels bad here, but you don't want to go there, right? You could almost just put your hand over your heart and it will come from your brain and go right into your heart. Mm-hmm. But the other thing is, as long as we're not trying to slow down, we're not going to feel this.
Absolutely.
But when we're in our head, right, we're all in our head in our grief, it does things like, we got to keep busy. I got to keep moving. I got to keep talking about it. As long as we keep talking about it, we're all in our head, right?
Well, and people tend to think that if you're talking about it, that you're processing it.
Yeah.
But that's not the truth. You could just be talking about it and be here the whole time in your head and not connecting with the emotions of it.
It's very interesting to see someone who is all in their head telling their story. Mm-hmm. They're telling their story of grief and loss, whatever it may be. It could even be something as simple as having to move and leaving all of your family and friends behind. And you hear them telling the story and they're not attaching their emotions or their feelings to it. You can absolutely see, wow, they're all in their head right now.
Right.
But literally adjusting them a little bit, just saying this, put your hand over your heart. Think about that move. What does that feel like? And then they really start to sense that.
Mm-hmm. You got to bring them into the moment.
We have to bring
them in. Everyone likes to be outside of the moment, but once you bring them into the moment, they're able to connect with those emotions.
We live in a 50-50 world. 50% positive, 50% negative. Without negativity, without pain, we would not know joy. We would not know love. We have to feel this 50-50. But what happens to us during grief is we're not willing to go there. We're not willing to feel the pain. So let's say this is 50% positive and 50% negative. We live in this world. It also lives in our heart. What happens to us at a grieving experience is that most times, a lot of us are unwilling to feel the feelings that are going on in our heart. So when we don't feel these feelings, we resist, which is one of the things we talked about last week, and we push back against it. Positive, love, excitement. We see this a lot on social media. Our friends are there on the beach with a glass of wine. She looks so great. She's telling us how great she feels, right? She feels motivated. She looks focused. We want this. We're going to do whatever we can to stay in this positive feeling. So a lot of us will look at it and go, okay, I really like positive feelings. I'm going to stay there, but I'm going to make a deal with myself. I refuse to feel my negative feelings. Let's say I make this 20%. So I'll move this to 80%. I'm going to feel only positive emotions. But then something happens. We have a grieving experience, and we're living all over here in our positive and trying to be motivated, but that's not the emotions that we need to process. We need to process anger, hurt, pain, loneliness. But how do we get back here when we've made a deal with ourselves that we're not even going to live there?
And that's the thing. It has to be a conscious choice. You have to say, something is happening to me. I need to figure this out for myself, or else it's going to get very, very dark and be very heavy, and it's going to be harder to navigate out back into the light. So you have to choose to let the unwanted feelings come. And the minute, just like how Sharon said, if you put your hand on your heart and you have a quiet a moment, it's going to reveal itself to you no matter what it is, if it's the ugly, and you can call it by its name.
Right. Here's the other deal. When you have your hand over your heart and you're really feeling it, you need to understand that grief is messy. Grief is ugly. Grief is not pretty. And we go through grief. There is no way to get around it. Getting around grief is intellectual. You have to hit it head on and go straight through the middle of it. When Donovan died, Erica refused to go on that path. No matter what we did, we couldn't get her to go that way. And she did everything she could to avoid it. But once we got her on the path of really feeling that and allowing those emotions and getting out of the intellectual.
Right. And one of the things that I say all the time is grief will find a way. And it happened to me personally. While I was avoiding and resisting and trying to do everything but allow myself to feel the feelings, I was suffering with anxiety, which I've never had a problem with before. I was suffering from massive headaches. Physically, the grief was manifesting itself in my body. So if you don't allow this process to happen, it will find another way out.
So I want to ask you, friends, what feeling are you willing to feel this week? What are you willing to allow? I want you to do that in week 3's homework. What feeling are you willing to feel? Sometimes it's just loneliness. Here's the other thing. You don't have to feel it all day. Can you feel it for 5 minutes? Will you allow it in for 10 minutes? If you allow these emotions, these unwanted emotions, little bits and period of a time throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the month, I guarantee you, as time goes on, you'll be experiencing it less and less.
Make sure to monitor and journal your experience. When you're allowing the feelings to come in, write it all down, what it looked like, what it felt like, how it started, because you want to be able to look back and see how much you're progressing over these 4 weeks.
Right. I want to also give you a warning that we can indulge in emotions as well. We can indulge in overwhelm, fear, anxiety. We can just say, she says I need to feel them. And then we start feeling them all day, every day. That is not what I'm saying. I'm saying monitor it, be aware of it, look at it, allow it, write it down, journal it.
Yes, because one of the things that we could also indulge in is being the victim. Yes. This terrible thing has happened to me, therefore everyone needs to acknowledge it. That's not how it works. Life goes on. Everyone is going back to their normal. Yeah. You have to now learn how to live in your new normal as healthy as possible.
Thank you so much for allowing us in this week. Good luck with your journaling, and remember, we're always available to you if you need us.
Bye, friends.